Folks that get out of prison, what I've seen is that they come back the same person as when they went. Nothing has really changed in them. What I've seen with people that we keep outside is we're giving them an education. We're planting that seed for future recidivism, for future crimes. If we can get that cut down, the long-term effect of this is going to pay off 100-fold. It's very expensive to go to prison, as we all know. Doesn't change behavior, as evidence shows, and what evidence is showing now is that education, cognitive restructuring, all the things that we're doing now change behavior. What we're doing here in Josephine County now is we like to use core correctional practices, which shows, a little bit of compassion goes a long ways, caring of their individual treatment plan, talking with them, treating individuals like human beings and not just another number that's out there. The swift and sure sanctioning processes that we're using is we don't wait 2 to 3 weeks to deal with whatever the sanction violation is. As soon as they come in and we say, hey, good job showing up, but we've got some issues here we need to get work crew sanction for your continued drug use, let's get you back into classes.
We're not out to get them. We're not the boogeyman. We're not gonna put them in jail every time they come over here and they do something. And we utilize jail more as a tool, I think, nowadays than we do as punitive. Use a sanction just to remind them that prison's the next step if they continue in this behavior, and just let them sit in that environment for a second. And sometimes that's enough to get them back on track.
We're all trying to be on the same page, and when everybody is on board with it, then the likelihood of successful outcomes is much more guaranteed. When we have all of the public safety agencies involved in making these decisions, if there was not that collaboration, then we'd have entities working against each other, and we'd have much less success, in my opinion.
I can't do what I do without community corrections. I can't do what we at the jail and the sheriff's office do without the DA, making those decisions of what type of sentences these people are facing. It really is the collaboration and a partnership that is completely invaluable. But where those monies go ultimately is a collaborative decision to serve Josephine County the best it can, and ultimately try and keep our local population, inmate population, out of the prison.
I've seen a much higher percentage of these downward departures. Instead of sending them to prison, give them a chance to perform and prove themselves locally. And there's been much greater openness to that. It is taken as, yes, in most cases, let's try this as the first step. And that's been happening.
Historically, you'll find that jail is just more of a punishing agent. And what they do is the individuals come in and they sit with other individuals that are making bad choices, and they plot and maybe scheme their next bad choice. Well, when you have a treatment pod, which is what we have in the Josephine County Jail, it allows us to continue helping them, continue their recovery, continue treatment. And that's really important because they get treatment on the outside. Then they come into jail after making a bad decision, and they get treatment on the inside, as opposed to just being warehoused. And the next step for us is to start getting medically assisted treatment for those that are addicted to opioid abuse.
One of the other things we put in place through Justice Reinvestment is the treatment pod at the jail. While they're still in custody, they can start learning skills about how they're going to maintain sobriety, maintain a law-abiding lifestyle when they get released, which just maximizes the likelihood of their success. And that's what's been happening there. The second chance employment program that we're doing, that's huge. The partnering with local employers that say, sure, we'll take on these convicted probationary felons, and you guys are giving them some of the job skill training, interviewing, resume building, how to talk, and then getting them jobs. That's a great program.
You take an individual who was costing taxpayers in theft of property, or social services, not having a job. The cost is endless, and it's very broad. But you get somebody back on their feet, and you give them purpose, they find their purpose, then they no longer have to dive into the pockets of the revenue that comes from the state.
It's amazing how progressive we are in what we're doing to make our clients successful and to save the state money through keeping these people out of prison for as long as possible, and only when it's working.
The idea of just warehousing somebody is really not technically solving the problem. Sure, there's cases where that has to happen, but if parole and probation, community corrections, has the ability to maybe sanction someone into a little bit longer term of a sanction than what they would normally be used to, it allows us to get a hold of them, get them into the treatment pod, get them into programs within our jail to try and stop the cycle. And sometimes that has to happen, but to be able to put that in the hands locally here is really beneficial for the system.
The whole aim of justice reinvestment is to help rehabilitate people locally so that they can re-enter the community as productive citizens, and it's hard to do that without collaboration from all the partners in the criminal justice system. And so getting us all together as a LIPSIC to discuss the planning for the Justice Reinvestment Grant Funds, which are every biennium, allows us the opportunity to talk about the criminal justice system as a whole and what programs we can put that grant money toward to maximize the effectiveness. We've also statistically had a drop in our prison usage over a 3-year baseline, so it's clear that coming together through our LIPSIC is helping people. Secure treatment program in the jail recently switched to serving women, and looking at the rates of success of those women participating in the program, successfully completing the program, and continuing treatment afterward. That showed some success, and the secure treatment is one of our core justice reinvestment programs. Also, we just started implementing automated court reminders, so it functions like a reminder for a dentist appointment. You get a text message, and this is just to remind people of upcoming court appearances. And since we implemented those, we've seen our failure to appear rate in court drop by 2%, which doesn't sound like a lot, but just over a few months, it seems like it's making a difference.
Create a pro-social group of associates and friends who you can grow with. And they're terrified of that. But we have to push them along and get them to understand that the reason you're doing what you're doing is because the people around you are doing what you guys do. And so the case plan would be, in the next 30 days, find someone who's pro-social, either at a meeting or any other function, that you can hang out with. So when you have the thought or the desire to do something negative or criminal, that person standing next to you can say, I don't think that's a good idea. And if they don't have those people around them, the more likely they will default into that behavior. Several times I've walked over to the DA's office and collaborated with them. I had a client who's a second look, and he's supposed to go straight to prison, back to prison after any violation. And me and the DA talked about it, and we took a look at who this kid was. And instead of sending him off to prison, it's like giving them a gift. The client gets the gift of being able to be allowed back to stay in the community, and the DA gets a gift too. The workload is cut back. DOC gets the gift of not sending another person to an overcrowded prison, and the family of this client gets a gift. Everybody wins. Everybody wins when we all collaborate, including the client, to let's do this, going down this pathway of success. So when they mess up or go off course, we get the opportunity to intercede and get back on track. My experience is the DA is awesome. We trust each other. We're not competing against each other. We are, even though we're a different agency, we're a team. You know, I feel just as comfortable at the DA's office as I do over here. Just as comfortable at the sheriff's office as I do over here. We know each other by first names. We greet each other, and that's important to establish a working relationship based on trust and accountability and friendship.
The single most important part is secure treatment, because so much of what's going on is opiate or meth or polysubstance use here, almost always polysubstance use. And the most effective sanction tool that we have, and it's Not only is it a sanction and it's correcting behavior, but it's giving treatment at the same time as a secure treatment pod. I actually would petition them to give us some more money so we could have dedicated male and female all year as opposed to having to rotate. This new approach that appears to be working better than the prior prison, hammer, etc. When you do that, you need all the community partners that are responsible and experts in that particular area. So if a DAR says there's some mental health issues here, it's pretty important that we have options on board here. Or if, hey, this person needs 45 days in the treatment part at the jail, it's pretty important to have the jail involved in supporting that as well. Without everybody at the table, we can't do what we're doing.
I meet with folks early on, get to know them a little bit, ask them a series of questions, get to know their history, their thought process, what led them to where they're at in their own words and based on criminal records and that sort of thing. Once I determine what risk factor is most prevalent for them, we build a case plan together, the client and I, and then we build action steps to reach our higher goal, which is to increase pro-social associates. It's important to acknowledge that while not everybody is able to stay on the road to recovery for an extended period of time, that period of time where they are clean and sober and pro-social means something, and it matters. I think that that's a helpful point of view to look at when you're working with a group of folks that are super high risk, that the chances of them struggling along the way, you know, this period of time where they've been clean and sober means something, and that should be encouraging to the rest of us.
This place is like family to me. It's great coming to work and spending time with people that are doing things for people. I think helping people is huge, and it's nice to be a part of that, and it's nice to have built relationships with such great people. A lot of times people come in so confused. They've gotten so much information. They come here and they don't really know why. They don't know what they're supposed to be doing. They don't know what the next steps are, and it's our job to guide them, to help them through that process. We have so many programs that we need to be able to narrow down what we need to help them with. When someone comes up and calls me by name because we've had these interactions, that means a lot to me because it makes me feel like I've made a difference in their experience when they come in. That relationship that we build with them helps build the relationship with their PO, with whomever they're gonna see, whether it's gonna be an alcohol and drug counselor, whether it's gonna be a DUI evaluator. It just helps guide that process and makes it a positive one, because that's what we want. We want people to walk in our door and see a positive face and know that we're here to help.
I think probably one day when I was with Mr. Galley, he was my attorney, and he told me, he was the one going over everything with me and telling me, like, you have a 24-month downward departure for this. And at first, I told him you should just send me to prison, because I was still in that mind frame of my addiction where I didn't see myself getting any better. But then he kind of explained to me, like, this is an opportunity for you to get better, for you to not go to prison. And a lot of people that go to prison, when they get out, it's, from what I noticed, not many of them change. They just keep doing the same thing, getting in trouble, going back to prison. I started at the sobering center here in town. I stayed there for like almost 2 weeks, and Pat referred me to On Track. At On Track, I had a really good counselor, like someone that really just pulled it out of me to be able to work through everything that I've done, that's been done to me from when I was a child to that day. And that really actually saved my life, because I remember my mom telling me, like, you need to get clean. And I'm telling her, I can't do it without treatment. You know, like, this isn't gonna work. 9 months. I've been clean and sober. I have a job. I have my family back in my life. I have my own place now. You know, I've come a really long way. I never in my life have thought that I would be like in this position that I'm in right now.
These are people that can be helped, and certainly it's our job in law enforcement, corrections, parole and probation, to decide who we have the ability to help and who is willing to take that ball and run with it in life. And sometimes it's a great success. Sometimes it doesn't go that way. But at least we have the ability with JRI monies and extended sanctioning beds, opening up that door, that possibility to success.
Thank you for giving, people a second chance. Just because maybe 5 out of 6 doesn't take it and go with it and aren't successful with it, doesn't mean that one person that does, they're changing their lives in that opportunity. And you can't maybe hold all those other people accountable for that one person, because it does save some people's lives. If I wouldn't have been able to get on that downward departure, I would honestly probably be in prison or dead right now. I know that. I know if I wouldn't have been given a second chance, that it wouldn't probably have ended too well for me.
As it becomes more and more successful, not only everybody involved that is making it happen in the system, I mean, us practitioners get excited by it and see glimmers of hope that maybe we're getting somewhere with this. And then you take it away, what do? One, you just knock the legs out of any of these programs. You build this disenchantment and this feeling of hopelessness back into those people that are working so hard to try to move us in a new direction. And that's really, in my mind, dangerous to the system.
I think one of the approaches that we like to do is when they come into group, we try to remind, hey, good job on coming today. We appreciate the fact that you're here. And we're so glad you're here. The new guys, the new people that come in, we take time to welcome them. And then I'll tell them, I'm going to apologize right now. And they go, for what? And I said, well, because I'm going to care enough about you to hold you accountable and tell you the truth. And I'm going to apologize, not for what I say, but for how you're going to take it. Because sometimes it's going to upset you. And I want you to know up front right now that I'm sorry that it's going to upset you, but I'm still going to care enough about you to tell you the truth. I've stood outside on the street before, and cars will drive by, and I'll hear the clients, and this is where I get my paycheck, boss. They'll yell by, "Thank you, Rock!" And I've cried before because I'm thinking, that was awesome, and so, and that means everything to me. And then I know, and the people that come back, and I know that there's a glow about them, and I love it.